invited Johnny back to the Peaks one weekend. I thought, what's the one place that I can show him that's going to impress him the most with the beauty and the stillness? And so I took him to the Dale.
And the river was flowing through the Dale as well, and how green everything was. And it was just mesmerising.
We have ravens nesting in the Dale, peregrines, quite a lot of important birds of prey. People come from all over the country to find a lovely little bird that lives in the brook down there called a dipper, the white letter hair-streaked butterfly. They feed on the nectar from some of the wildflowers in the meadows.
This is part of the 72 acres that they're purchasing. It goes all the way through to the trees over there, all the woodland up through here and right down to the bottom where the riverbed is. Just walking up from the bottom of the village up to the horse fields. The land that they've bought stretches from the top of this field all the way down. There were horses being kept on this land up until very recently for way over 20 years, and that's obviously stopped now. We're now at the top of the village where the land that they're purchasing goes that way through to the woods and then down to Ravensdale. But more importantly, it runs along the back of the houses here, very close to everybody's lives.
It started with small changes, and then the caravan turned up and they created a car park and they put a teepee up and they dug a path to the teepee. And emotionally, that's such a wild place. You go there when you need a break. You go there when you need peace of mind and when you've experienced it your whole life. To see that being taken away is really heartbreaking.
The position of the people in the village was that you can't grow stuff in the Dale. The Dale is a natural environment, it's an incredible habitat. You can't replace what is already there with your imagined fantasy of this farm.
It became more intimidating to be here, and certainly for the people who are closest to this section, the people in Ravensdale, very much more intimidating for them. It's quite frightening to think that anybody can buy a piece of land and just move in and apparently do whatever they want to do.
To be honest, it wouldn't matter what their beliefs were or their values or who they were. What is of concern really are their intentions. And we think they're planning to do some quite intensive forms of farming. If you dig the grassland and plant vegetables, then obviously you're destroying the wildflower habitat that all those other creatures depend on. And that would change the whole ecosystem.
There's tents where the deer go, with plastic bottles and grills and all of these things that actively affect the wildlife.
It would appear that they're trying to encourage camping on the land. We'd worry about traffic, and we are already worried about what's happening with all the human waste. Cressbrook Dale has been designated as a natural zone, and a natural zone means that it has the highest level of planning restrictions. You are not going to be allowed to camp in the natural zone. It is too important. It's uncultivated land, so it's actually protected by something called the Environmental Impact Assessment Regulations. Lots of the work which has gone on the land is classified as development, and development needs planning permission.
That's the most important thing, that if you're wanting to do something like this, that you at least do it properly. But it soon became very apparent that they had no intentions whatsoever of applying for planning permission or asking anybody's opinion. It was just what they wanted to do and what they wanted to achieve.
We managed to get planning officers and tree officers to come out and look at the site, and a tree preservation order was served on all the woodland in Cressbrook Dale. The planning officers were so concerned about the development which they'd seen with no permission that they served what's called a stop notice, which requires a landowner to stop all development.
If you are in the process of doing something that you shouldn't be, and the authority has approached you multiple times and you have repeatedly failed to stop, then they will issue something called temporary stop note. It doesn't happen very often. It's an extreme action. The fact that the stop order needed to be issued shows that the group were not paying any attention at all to what they had been told they should do by the National Park Authority.
That now means we're waiting for the National Park Authority to take further action, because, legally they cannot let this happen.
I think the main feeling in the village is grief. Not only for the people in the village, but people who visit, That was also the first walk that you took your family on.
Yeah.
I mean, your family won't walk there with you.
No.
Because they don't feel safe.
It's like seeing a well-loved relative, become very ill, or the threat, maybe, of illness.
There was a person who's lived here for years and years, and she said, it's the first time I've ever wanted to leave Cressbrook. You shouldn't be made to feel like that. The village really have come together as a very strong team, very determined.
We have some specialists on bats, butterflies, flora, fauna, everything. And the more this goes on, the more information and expertise comes forward. So we're very informed.
I won't give up. I want to make sure that it's safe and protected.
I will never give up.
My faith is in the National Park Authority and in Natural England to follow through on the actions which they've initiated. You never give up. Giving up would be impossible, whether it's a specific case like this one or the wider environmental cause.